The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Frightmares Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for episode 361 is my good friend, Derek Ferreira. How we doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Woo! Today, on another installment of Hauntuary Manor, we're discussing our wild card pick, We Are Still Here, from 2015, a movie that shows us just what happens when a haunted house gets incredibly hangry, and yeah, it's very bizarre, very fun. So the wild card, as I mentioned on the last episode, is I'm going to try to keep the rating is going to be between a 2.4 and a 2.9 because typically those are wild card movies. You never know what you're going to get with a rating like that on Letterboxd. So this one had a 2.9, barely snuck this one in, but here we are. And let's see where this one lands on the Nightmare Index. Fuck is full screen? There's full screen. Okay, cold open. What have we been watching, Derek? Anything good? Anything bad? Hit me with some of the, if you've had time recently. I know we're both very busy, but what have you been watching?
We've actually managed to sneak in a few movies. We watched both the influencer movies.
Oh, had you never seen the first one?
We had not seen the first one, no.
What'd you think?
Honestly, I liked the sequel better, but they were both solid.
Okay.
And then we snuck in a Working Man with Jason Statham, which, it's action and there's still lots of blood and guts. And then last night we watched Ted Bunny. Got a screener for that. Let's just say review is coming and it's not going to be wonderful.
It's always awkward when, it hasn't happened a lot yet. A lot of the trailer or a lot of the screeners I get are decent movies, but I just got one recently for a found footage-y Valentine's Day horror movie that's coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to say good things about this. I will mention my problems, but it's hard to get a movie that's not necessarily a great movie and not, I don't want to trash the film. That's not what I'm here to do. So I will pick out all of the good things that I liked.
Well, that's the thing. There were good things, and being a filmmaker myself, I can sit here and be like, okay,
yeah.
you worked with what you had.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, all your budget went to getting, son of a bitch, there's a veteran horror actor in it, and now I'm forgetting who it was. But yeah, that's where the budget went.
Ted Bunny. Let's see who Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace.
Wallace. God, what won't that lady do? I love her to pieces. So I, funny enough, had interviewed the director of Influencer, David Curtis Harder. He's a three-namer, but we talked about Influencers, I believe it wasn't not last year, but the year before, and I am so excited. I didn't get to check out Influencers yet, but the general consensus from what I've seen online is that it's better than the first one. And I fucking love the first one. I wasn't even expecting a sequel, so that's on my list to check out because Gabby and I very much enjoyed the first one. So I'm glad to know that you enjoyed it and enjoyed the sequel, so that makes me very excited to check it out.
To go back. I don't remember you doing an episode with him.
So it's technically, it's I snuck it in there, right? So it was when we were doing Pride Month, I think it was 2 years ago, he was on there and we were talking about Spiral, which is the movie he did before Influencer, which features a gay couple. So we did that for Pride Month because it was, that we were trying to do inclusive horror, and then we kind of snuck Influencers in there. So that one, yeah, it's in there, but it's not titled Influencer.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I have been saving this review for you, and I'm very excited to talk about Primate because it's a movie that I heard about it late last year, and all I knew is that it was a horror movie involving a monkey. I'm in. Like, that's all the information I need. Sometimes simplicity is the best. And in this case, it is it's 89 minutes of pure insanity. I will quote Corey by saying that Chimp is an absolute fucking demon. And I had so much more fun with this than I thought I was. I also mentioned to Corey that it kind of taps into a real fear that, like, if chimps wanted to just do that one day, they could. They're fucking strong. A chimp could literally rip you limb from limb if they so decided to do so. So that's already kind of like a realistic premise. So, he's got rabies and he's just gooshing teenagers for 90 minutes. It's fucking great. I loved it so much.
It was so much fun. It was such a throwback slasher. Like, they even have like a very 80s title card when that pops up. And, it's a lot of the complaints that I saw against it were people being like, oh, the acting was bad. This is a killer chimp movie. And to be fair, I went into this having no idea that it was going to be this over the top violent movie. I was just, it's going to be like, you'll see like this here, this there. But like, I was genuinely scared. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but when he comes down the lights.
Yeah. There were some pretty good jump scares. There was some really good gore. One scene in particular involving something being ripped off. I won't say what, but god damn, that movie was so fun. And the fact that it was literally a guy in a suit, no CG involved. It was a guy in a fucking chimp suit. I think there may have been some digital alteration for face movements, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but like, nonetheless, it was a dude, and you could kind of tell, and that's okay with me because it kind of led into that 80s vibe I was already getting. You're like, that's a dude in a suit. I'm okay with that. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5, 4 stars out of the gate just because I liked it, but I gave it an extra half star because it just exceeded my expectations. Funny enough, much like the monkey from last year that I also gave 4.5 stars, Primates, while I do think it was genuinely good, this is solely like a how much fun I had with the movie rating, so it gets a 4.5 out of 5. Something I will there's a steelbook coming out for it, I believe, sometime this year, which I've already pre-ordered. It might just be a 4K, I don't know. But it was so good. Plus that 80s kind of John Carpenter-esque synthy score going on. Did you notice that?
So fucking good. That score was just, and to think, like, I looked after the fact and went, oh, it's the same guy who directed everybody's most hated Resident Evil movie, which I actually prefer over all the other Resident Evil movies. But I digress.
Yeah. The man's had a wild career. He also did 47 Meters Down as well, and a couple other hit or miss movies. But this one, coming out of the gate for my first, well, I guess, did I see Bone Temple? No. I saw Primate first. For the first, like, theatrical experience of the year, off to a killer start, and then Bone Temple was 2 days later, another killer movie, and it's January. Typically, January's not the greatest time for movies in general, but the year's off to such a great start. I'm a little worried, but I'm also very excited because some of the trailers I've seen for things like Lee Cronin's The Mummy, The Mortuary Assistant, Diabolic, all these movies coming out, I'm like, I think it's going to be a banger year for horror movies. That's just me, though. I don't know. I
totally agree, because then you got the trailer for Whistle, which apparently is severe everything.
Yes.
For its R rating. And it's got Nick Frost. So
yeah, they're doing a kind of like not like a sneak peek, but it's a special event screening on Wednesday at my theater. I'm going. I told my wife, I was like, do you want to see this one? She was like, I can wait. And okay, I'm going, because usually I get one night out a week to go watch a movie. So I'm going to go see that Wednesday. Very excited, because I only know it's about an Aztec death whistle, and that's, again, all the information I need. That's it. So it's been... oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I am excited because our local theater, which only usually gets big releases, is getting Iron Lung. So we are going to see that Thursday.
Ooh, what's Iron Lung?
It's the Markiplier movie, the YouTuber Markiplier.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
All self-produced and all that shit. And then it had such a big calling for it that it ended up expanding into many theaters.
Okay. I did also see a new movie on Shudder that was technically released in 2025, but it is a new release for us here in the States. And I just wanted to put it out there. It's called Mother of Flies, and it's got a pretty solid rating. Sounds really good. I think it's about witches and shit. I'm going to check that out as soon as I can, but I just wanted to let anybody else know out there. Technically, it says 2025, but the internet release for the US is this year, so it counts. The only other thing I watched for the Cult Movie Challenge, this was week 3. Let me look at my review here. Week 4, David Lynch week. I have been going through his movies chronologically, except for one diversion when I saw Mulholland Drive for a podcast. This movie, I mean, it's David Lynch. I don't know. I haven't seen a bad movie by him, but this was one of his wilder movies in terms of how the story progresses, because it's a very linear story until you get to about the third act, and then it gets all, David Lynchy and mindfucky. But it is one of the smoothest transitions into madness I think I may have ever seen. And by the end of it, it had just an ending that blew my brain to pieces. If you want to check out my review for them, I am reviewing all of the Cult Movie Challenge titles in full length, very long reviews, just like I did for Hooptober. So go check that out if you want to get my full thoughts. But gave that one a 4.5, and we'll continue with my David Lynch filmography here soon. Oh, and no spoilers on this one, but I did get a screener for Dracula, the new one for this year, and despite my problems with Luc Besson and his weirdness, you can go Google what all that's about. This was, and for people listening, you know how I am with vampire movies. I really like this one, so that tells me that most people probably won't. This movie was so visually fucking stunning, and Caleb Landry Jones as Dracula was one of the performances of the year already, and Christoph Waltz as well. That one's coming out February 6th, I believe. 2 hours and 10 minutes, a little long, but no time wasted. I think that's all I have. Watched a lot of shit this week. I think that's all I have for recently watched. Anything else you wanted to mention before we move on here?
No.
Okay.
I will say that I'm hearing great things about Dracula. I've had a friend who already saw it 3 times.
Jesus. Okay. Well, they do give you 5 times, at least the screeners I get, you can view it 5 times. So yeah, fucking watch it 3 times. It was just, it was so good. So I can't wait to see that one, see how that one does in theaters. Let's roll on to the body count. Fucking screaming in your ears. This is We Are Still Here from 2015, released on June 5th as a limited theatrical run of that year in the U.S. We have not rated, as is typical with indie movies, no sex and nudity, severe violence and gore, moderate profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and moderate frightening and intense scenes. I beg to differ. I would say it's severe, but that's just me. Runtime of 1 hour and 24 minutes, 84 minutes, movie wastes 0 time. Listed as a horror mystery, directed by a man named Ted Geoghegan, who also directed Brooklyn 4-5, which is a Shudder original, I do believe, and that movie is also brilliant. Fucking love that movie. It's also written by the same man. He wrote Satanic Panic from 2019, I believe, and also Brooklyn 4-5. Please excuse me while I butcher this name entirely. Composed by Wojciech Golsweski, who also composed Night of the Wolf, also known as Late Phases, and Beyond the Gates, also starring a Barbara Crampton. Cinematography by Karim Hussein, who also did the cinematography for Hobo with a Shotgun, and then moved on to Possessor. Wild difference in movies there. Also did Orphan First Kill and Infinity Pool. We have edited by Aaron Crozier. He edited Frankenstein's Army, Night of the Wolf, or Late Phases, and Jacob's Wife, another movie starring Barbara Crampton. And then it was also edited by someone else named Josh Ethier, who edited Leatherface, Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and Companion. So a lot of talented people behind the scenes of this movie, starring Andrew Sensinig as Paul Sachetti. He has 106 credits, but it's all like, doctor or guy in background. So, I mean, he does a lot of work, but this was his most known for. And then, of course, we have Barbara Crampton as Anne Sachetti, who everybody should know. She was on an episode that we did, Chopping Mall, and she played Susie Lynn in that, but she's been in From Beyond, Reanimator, she does everything, much like Dee Wallace. Then we have Larry Fessenden as Jacob Lewis. He's also a pretty prolific director, but he was in You're Next as Eric Harson. He's the guy that gets killed in the beginning of that movie. So spoilers, but not really. Then we have Lisa Marieve as Mae Lewis. She was in Sleepy Hollow as Lady Crane. And this is probably my favorite credit of the entire cast right here. We have Monty Markham as Dave McCabe, who was also in 44 episodes of Baywatch as Captain Don Thorpe. Fucking wild. And then we have Suzanne Gibney as Maddie, who's also done a lot of work for Star Trek, various iterations of that show. Estimated budget of NA, worldwide box office gross of NA. This was shot in Palmyra, New York. And funny enough, the restaurant that they went to, Buffalo Bill's, that is the real name of that restaurant that they shot at, and that's hilarious, which is in Shortsville, New York. Love that. You can watch this on AMC Plus, Fandango at Home, Hoopla, Plex, and Tubi, all for streaming. And then we have movies that came out around the same time. This is a crazy list. Avengers: Age of Ultron, Mad Max: Fury Road, Pitch Perfect 2, the terrible Poltergeist remake, Insidious Chapter 3, Jurassic World, Inside Out, Ted 2, Magic Mike XXL, Terminator Genesis, and The Gallows. IMDb summary here, we have: in the cold, wintry fields of New England, a lonely old house wakes up every 30 years and demands a sacrifice. Let's hit it with the autopsy. All right, Eric. All right, Derek. Give me some overall thoughts on We Are Still Here.
For a movie that I didn't expect much from, I was blown the fuck away.
Plain and simple, right?
I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, that's my overall thought on this. It was great.
Yeah, I had definitely seen, or not seen the movie. I had seen the poster or known the title. Yeah, I had seen it around, but I never actually got to it. But my overall thoughts are, much like you, for a movie that I don't really ever hear mentioned, I think this is a fucking slept on and totally underrated, especially with a 2.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd movie, because this did so many things I never expected it to do. Completely haunting imagery, impressive score, a very, again, much like, Blue Velvet that I was talking about earlier, a very good slip just into insanity. I just totally blown away by this movie, and that's why I'm picking these movies that are rated specifically between 2.4 and 2.9 for wild cards, because some are going to hit, some are going to not. This movie fucking hit, at least for me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're on the same page with that. Perfect. I really love the setup and execution for this, because it's just these very cold and dark snow, shots of like this snowy landscape. It just made me feel like it was going to be a cold movie, not in terms of just temperature, but tone. I felt like they were trying to convey a tone with those opening scenes. Like, this is just going to be a dark kind of sad movie. I don't know, what were the vibes that you got right off the bat with just kind of how they, not even before even anybody shows up, just the cold wintry scenes? Did it give you a vibe?
It gave that total dull, there's not going to be like much like comedic pieces to this, whatever. And of course, it doesn't help that we're sitting here watching it while we get hit by a huge fucking snowstorm.
Like, this is perfect. What great timing.
So it's like, it's dreary outside. There's no sun coming into my living room while we're watching it. And
perfect timing.
Perfect atmosphere for it. I
was going to say, it seems like the ideal atmosphere to watch a movie like this. So you're introduced to Paul and Anne, and see, and this is what I wasn't sure of at first, because they're driving to this. I thought it was a vacation home, or I didn't know what it was at first. But I guess they moved from New York to bumfuck Egypt in the middle of nowhere. And Anne is just visibly upset, which I read that. I was like, okay, something happened. I'm not sure what happened. She's clearly upset by something. I don't know if it's the move. I don't know if it was because of the move. So she is very kind of stoic, as to where her husband is, I wouldn't say upbeat, but he's a little more peppy, if that's the right word. So the opening tone of this movie, I was like, this is not going to be good. It's not going to be a good time, in the sense of like the feeling that this movie is going to elicit from me. I was like, this is going to be a rough watch, but I'm excited to see where exactly it goes. And the stagnant shots too of the empty rooms in the home, they just kind of go from room to room, and it's like a stagnant shot. It's like this house is just ripped right out of the 70s. I swear. I don't know if they were trying to go. I don't think they really set a time that was set, because all of the cars are also older. The home seems older, but they didn't establish a time. At least I didn't see.
There was no time establishment. So I assumed it was supposed to be around the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, just from the aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it had to have been, because they left a note on their door for the kids when they were showing up, and then, when they get back, the note is still there, because we'll get to it. So I don't think there was any cell phones, because they would have just texted them. You don't just leave a note on a door when we have cell phones. So now that I'm thinking about it, and of course I wasn't looking for cell phones, but I do believe it's supposed to be set kind of in the 70s or 80s kind of vibe, because that's the vibe I got. And then the title card comes up pretty quick, but it's a moment when a picture falls on the table, and it's that picture that Anne said her son never liked Bobby, because it's something about he looked weird in that photo. So you get the title card, We Are Still Here, and I thought that was a really good setup. It set the movie up tonally very well, and I knew what to expect in one aspect, but not what I got. I was not expecting.
No, not at all.
The way this movie unfolds was just so chaotic, and not in a bad way, but just in like like there's a lot of shocking moments in this movie. A couple times where I said, what the fuck, and sat up in my seat, because I was just not prepared at all. So like I told you, I got a feeling that, something was going on with Anne. I figured someone had died or something. And it turns out, even because it wasn't part of the summary, so I knew the story would reveal itself over time. I was assuming maybe their kid died, because, she goes down into the basement, finds the baseball glove, and then the baseball rolls over, which, by the way, I don't know how you felt about that basement. Stuff of nightmares. There's no floor. It's all bare. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend.
No, I wouldn't recommend it either. But I'm going to let you in a little secret here, Austin.
Okay.
I am from New England, and guess what? A lot of basements look like that.
Oh.
My mom's old house, that was her basement. You went down, dirt, foundation, furnace in the corner. There's a lot of houses around here like that.
Wow. See, and every time my experiences with basements were up in Michigan at my aunt's house, and she had, the basement was fully drywalled, carpet, and I was like, why are people afraid of bass? I slept down there. It's like, this is great. there's a TV down here. It's cozy. And then I see basements like this, and it's like, nope. No, I would have to do something with that down there. I could never go down there. But that's funny that you firsthand experience with basements like that. Horrifying though. I don't think she even reacted to the ball, because didn't the ball like fall down the stairs or something like that, or rolled up behind her, and she was just like, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, there wasn't much reaction to like oh, that's weird that the baseball came out of nowhere.
And I found a baseball glove down here. So yeah, once I saw that scene, I was like, all right, I'm assuming a kid died. And I thought it was going to be a child based on the glove, but it turns out he was at least a college student, because Harry and his girlfriend, Harry was Bobby's roommate, and they come out there, don't last long at all. Jesus Christ. I didn't even put them in the credits because I was there in the movie for 5 minutes before they get completely just ripped to pieces. So something that was also great, because I do love a good just lore dump when you get all the information that you need. And it's like 15 minutes into the movie when their neighbors come over, which I believe were Kat and Dave, who did you get a vibe from them right off the bat before he even started talking? They knocked on the door and I was like, I don't like these people. They say they're their neighbors, but I didn't see a house like on either side.
Oh, yeah, that's another fact for you, dude. In New England, sometimes a neighbor is like a mile down the fucking road.
They're like, yeah, we're neighbors. Oh, come in and have a drink. And then this man just goes into the darkest shit imaginable. The house that they're living in is built in 1859, serving as a funeral parlor, and it was owned by a family called the Dagmars. And this is the bit that really hooked me into the movie too, is when, a few months after they were in business, word got out that they were selling bodies and burying empty coffins. People were saying that they were selling corpses to this university, and even, he called them, he said the Orientals. I was like, that's not really politically correct, but I'm assuming it's the 70s or 80s. And then they were turning them into chop suey. But the town ran him out, his wife and his little girl, and then his family couldn't stand the look of him after that, so he drank himself to death and killed himself a year later. I don't know about you, but that lore dump, I was like, okay. I was like, that's some pretty solid storytelling right there. I was in at that moment. How did you feel about that, getting that exposition right there?
Oh, it was perfect. Sometimes it flows with the movie, and I get it. But there is nothing better than this is what's going on, and this is everything you're going to need to know to follow this movie right off the rip.
Right, exactly, which it did feel a little convenient, but at the same time, it was absolutely necessary, because they were just having a chit-chat, and then he just goes down the rabbit hole, and even after he was done talking, he said, oh boy, I kind of dampened the mood there. Like, yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I thought we were just having whiskey and hanging out.
I mean, I suppose in a way he's trying to portray himself as a nice neighbor.
Correct.
But when more of the lore comes out, it's like, wait, why would you have told them that if you want them to stay there? Like, no, these people are going to be non-believers. I can lore dump all this shit. They're not leaving this fucking house.
Well, and I think it's funny because Anne's husband, Paul, he is, this is where the movie kind of leans into some of the, maybe not necessarily haunted house tropes, but just horror movie tropes, where the husband is very dismissive about the otherworldly things. He is not a believer in the afterlife or ghosts or any of that shit. So it was perfect for him to hear, because Paul's just like, okay, crazy man, whatever. But Anne, of course, she's not psychic in any way, but she mentioned later on in the movie, she just felt Bobby's presence there. So she's definitely the believer. Paul is not. A very common trope in movies, but I felt it was necessary for this, because it wouldn't make sense to feel Bobby's spirit in a place that he had never been. Not saying it's outside the realm of possibility, but when you're moving from New York to a small town, I was like, I don't think you're feeling Bobby's spirit. I think someone is, I think these spirits are fucking with you or trying to warn you or something. And I'm very excited to talk about that ending. But one of the things that did not sit right with me, especially because it was the tagline of the movie, is when Dave looks at them before leaving and he's like, this house needs a family. And this line specifically, we haven't had fresh souls in over 30 years. Come again? I'm sorry, fresh souls?
You're just going to drop that and then leave? Thanks a lot.
And no one batted an eye at it, because when you're in that moment, it's like, I don't think I would take that as weird, but in retrospect, I would have been, fresh souls. That sounds strange to say to someone who just moved into a house with this tragic background. But of course, Paul is just like, yeah, well, whatever, dude. And I think that's why Anne is so interested in what's going on in the house. But then you get that note, which Kat slipped to Anne, I believe, and it said like this, this house needs a family, get out. And at that moment, for me personally, after hearing the horrific shit that went down, I would have left. But that's just me. I'm not in a movie. I'm not here to progress a plot, but that's enough information for me, because Kat, if you watched her watching Dave tell the story, she's very uncomfortable about the whole situation. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, it was the total trope of the husband gives all the lore dump while she sits there going, no, you're going to kill these poor people. And I can't speak up.
Yeah, she can't speak up, because later on in the movie, she gets stabbed and is bleeding out and still calls Barbara Crampton's character on the phone. Oh, they were using landlines. This definitely had to be like 70s or 80s, now that I'm thinking about that, because she was on the floor with a handheld that was corded to the wall. So yeah, she doesn't make it, because I'm pretty sure at this point she's probably been resisting. This is just speculation on my part, but resisting what Paul's been doing, because, Paul and the ghost of Dagmar have this agreement that they will feed them so they can stay content, because the later lore dump, which was even crazier, is that if the house does not get a family once every 30 years, it'll just start fucking going out into the town and kill all the people in the town. This is a very vengeful house.
Very welcome to Derry, actually, now that you say that.
Right. It really is. I thought that was so interesting, though, because and we're kind of bouncing around just a little bit, but I feel like it's relevant. When Harry and his girlfriend showed up, and Harry, he gets completely annihilated in the basement, so his girlfriend goes to leave, and she's in the car driving down the road, and then a ghost pops up behind her and still gets her. I thought, okay, well, all right. Typically ghosts are limited to the area of which they died, but then the explanation later on that the ghosts will go further out if they're not getting what they need. I was like, all right, well then that kind of stays within the lore there. So I really liked the storytelling, and to me, it felt pretty fresh for a haunted house movie. It's not like the house is haunted, ooky spooky, get out. Nah, this house wants to eat you and consume you, very much like House Zoo that we did last week, except that the house isn't literally eating them. It's the spirits in there kind of consuming them. I don't know. I felt like that was kind of a fresh take for a haunted house movie. How did you feel about the overall story of what we were given?
Oh, no, I absolutely agree, because I went into this expecting a total, Conjuring or, anything like that vein, where you get the spirits and the whatever in the background, and then we get full-on fucking carnage. And the whole, the ghost being able to be like, nah, fuck you, I'm in the backseat of the car, I followed you. That was great.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of leaned into some tropes, but then subverted other tropes, especially with the ghosts being able to make actual contact with them and rip them apart. That was usually that doesn't happen in ghosts. Usually, like the ghosts can touch people and possess people, but they're straight up ripping people apart. Like fucking Harry's girlfriend gets a hand through her stomach while she's driving.
And they were able to manipulate the house because, like, at one point that dude's walking up the stairs and then he just starts sinking into them. Like, we're just taking you through the fucking stairs now. You don't.
Yeah, they were able to do so much. And I thought, man, this is a very fresh take on the kind of haunted house thing that we've seen and done many times before. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it because it did feel so fresh. Also, the look of the ghosts themselves were incredible. They'd be in the background, and this is where I say they lean into the tropes, because there were plenty of shots where ghosts, the demons or ghosts, whatever, were in the background, but they were like fully black, and you could kind of see their eyes glowing just a little bit. And it's because we learn later on that I guess there was a fire, and I can't remember, but they all had this charred, burned look to them. Again, very original for ghost movies. Like, usually ghosts are kind of just, they're just kind of gross looking, but these people look like they had been lit on fire recently, and there's even kind of like ashes coming off of them at some point, and they're crackling. I was like, man, this is so much better than I expected it to be. And I also love the fact that Barbara Crampton was a star in this, because there's a lot of times where she's just kind of in a movie, much like Dee Wallace. They're just in a movie for a second and then they leave. So seeing Barbara Crampton star in a more recent movie, 11 years ago, I thought was great. But
you don't usually with them, and I just learned this term off Reddit not too long ago. Somebody called it a geezer teaser, where you pay an older icon just so you can use their name. They're in it for 5 minutes and then they disappear. And I was like, geezer teaser. I love it. I am going to hold on to that saying.
And it's accurate because, God, I mean, Dee Wallace shows up at the beginning of Jeepers Creepers Reborn. She's just in the beginning of that movie, and then she's gone. Like, it's funny. I love that. I mean, if I were these people who were established in acting and had been acting since the 80s, and someone was like, hey, I want you to be in this movie for 5, sure, fuck it. It's just give me whatever, just pay me scale.
Well,
yeah. Like, I don't care.
Probably getting paid like a few grand to appear for 1 day's worth of filming. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I don't care the quality of the movie. If you just want me there because you're a fan and you want me to show up and do a scene, I'll do a scene. So,
dude, fucking Dee Wallace is probably like Ted Bundy. What? I did that? I already forgot because that was just a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, she's done so many things too, much like Barbara Crampton. That they have like hundreds of credits. So, man,
absolutely phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, she always brings it to every movie. I mean, even in Chopping Mall, which is such a goofy movie, I love her in. But of course, the classics like Reanimator and From Beyond. She's just so goddamn charming. She's still to this day, I'm like, you are still such a baddie. She's just so pretty. Barbara Crampton, I love you. So let's see here. We kind of talked about Harry, and May was his girlfriend, or Maddie or something like that. But they come out there to visit and I was confused by this premise for a little bit, because you had Anne and Paul there, and then Jacob and Jacob and May show up. I'm like, who are these? This can't be Harry and his girl. I'm like, these people are the same age. But yeah, Jacob and May are the, parents of Harry. Harry was Bobby's college roommate. So they're all just coming out there to see the house. And May is some sort of a medium. Like,
that's the best way
I guess we'll just say that she's in touch with the supernatural. So she comes out there to kind of scope out the house. And immediately she's like, yeah, the vibe here is, I don't know about this vibe. Not sure about this house. And something else that was really funny, like I said, Anne feels Bobby's presence, and May is very convinced that it's probably not Bobby's presence at all. But one of this is why I love how this movie kind of progresses, because when they go out to eat at Buffalo Bill's, which is hilarious, is a hilarious name, and the fact that it's real is even better. But it's the two sets of parents, because Harry and Maddie, or whatever the fuck his girlfriend's name is, they're on the way. And they're like, so they leave a note on the door, we're going out to dinner. And the second they walk in, fucking, it's like when you watch a movie and the record stops and everyone turns to look at these people. I was like, okay, I get they might not be from the area, but this is a weird greeting that they're getting. And I got the vibe right away that something must be going on in the town that I don't know if everyone is in on, but I think everyone knows about.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Like, everyone treating them that way just felt so bizarre. So then they sit down and they're having dinner. And I think at one point when they're talking, I think someone mentions the name Bobby, or they mention something, and the barkeep like drops a glass almost out of like shock. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, someone's in on this. Maybe it's the barkeep. Maybe people are just so thrown off by seeing new faces that's how they treat people. It's kind of weird. Usually small towns. You can tell me, are small New England towns like that? Are you friendly, or are you very standoffish?
No, everybody around here is pretty friendly. Okay. I mean, that town was perceived to be extremely small, which, not that I haven't been in those before, but like, you walk into like a small shop in one of the small towns, you're not going to get a what? Especially because, like, I mean, everywhere, like, it doesn't matter where you go in the sticks, people come up here to be tourists. So
yeah, so it just felt odd. I mean, I know it, like I said, I know it's a very small town, but at the same time I was like, that's a very weird greeting. Not like a hey, hello, welcome, just I don't like you. Very, very judgy vibes I got from them.
That's the vibe of like, these 30 people are the only people who live in this town.
Right, yeah. It's like, this is it. This is the whole town. This is the night the whole town comes out to Buffalo Bills. Oh, God. Is it Buffalo Bob or Buffalo Bill from Silent? Because Joe Dirt is one, and then Silence of the Lambs is another one.
Yeah, no, it's Buffalo Bill.
It's Buffalo Bill. Okay, Buffalo Bob must be from Joe Dirt then. So that's an even weirder name to call your fucking establishment.
That's a more random reference to remember, sir.
Right, yeah.
Oh, Joe, I'm getting Joe Dirt mixed up with Silence of the Lambs.
I know, every time, because he talks about Buffalo Bob touching your bunghole, and I always get them mixed up. So we've already touched on the fact that the ghost can physically harm people in absolutely heinous ways. But I'm wondering, maybe you can enlighten me here as to why Daniela, hey, there's her name I wrote down. Harry and Daniela died so quickly because Paul and Anne were there for so long, completely unscathed. So I don't know why they weren't injured. Do you have any sort of speculation as to why they were kept alive?
The only thing I can think is because it is insinuated at the end of the movie that the spirit of their son is there.
Right.
Was that he kind of was like, don't hurt these people, but then the other people came in and
gooshed.
I guess why wouldn't the spirit of the roommate that was supposed to be best friends be like, whoa, don't touch these people either?
Right.
But the old man made a crack about them dying because they were like getting busy right off the rip or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember
that's right. That's right. Because when Jacob becomes possessed after the seance, there's obviously some spirit talking through him. It's like, oh, your son and that whore girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, that's when
So maybe that's what it was. They came in and kind of just disgraced the house immediately.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're fucking dead.
It's like,
you're about to get busy in my house.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line. Get fucked. But not in the way you want. Okay, so maybe that's why. And we don't get a lot of backstory on Harry and Bobby's relationship other than that they were college roommates. So That's
it's weird because the father or the mother, can't remember which one of them, mentioned that they were inseparable. But then when it shows him driving and him and his girlfriend are talking, he was just, like, he made it more casual, like, oh yeah, we were roommates. So it makes you wonder, like, if that was just a kind of a goof,
right?
Or if that's supposed to be the parents thinking that, like, they were best friends and maybe they weren't because the parents are out of touch. I don't know.
That's a good point, though, honestly, because, perception is everything, and one person might look at it one way while it's a completely different scenario to the people actually involved. So that's actually a really good point to bring up. So a little touch that I loved specifically regarding Harry and Daniela is the fact that when they went inside the house, they didn't pull the note off the door. They left it on there, which told them, hey, we went out for the night. You can either come meet us at Buffalo Bills or you can just stay here and eat food there. They never took the note off. So when everyone returns and they see the note still on the door, they just think they haven't made it yet. So yes, this is clearly in a time where cell phones are not existing, because they would have just called at that point. I love that, though, because they're like, they probably got tired and they stopped somewhere. They'll be here soon. So that was just a little touch that I love, because I also rewound it because I was like, I'm pretty sure he took it off. And then when he walks out, sure enough, he left it on the door. Because I was thinking maybe that the spirits put the note back or something like that, but no, he just never took it off. So they think, oh, all right, well, they're just not here yet. Let's continue our night as usual. And we get another lore dump at 47 minutes. And Dave's character kind of felt he was obviously pivotal to the plot because of the explanation we were getting, but I did find his character slightly convenient because every time he pops up, it's like lore dump. But in regarding moving the story along, I get why his character was there. Plus, it opens the scope up when he actually talks to Dagmar, like, hey, these people have been here for a while. Why aren't you killing them? And that was another thing that this movie did differently. Like, this ghost and Dave have a somewhat sort of relationship where we feed you, you don't fuck with us. That is another thing I really liked. That, does it exist in other movies? Maybe. I haven't seen that movie where there's this like symbiotic relationship between afterlife and living, where they're like, all right, we have this agreement, just stay there and we'll bring you a family. So I really like that. But the thing I was getting to is that, the lore dump happens after he just shoots that fucking girl.
What? Oh, go check the door. Fuck you. I don't know you. Blows your head off.
Well, because the barkeep that I assumed was kind of in on everything, here's someone knocking at the door like, hey, we're closed. What the fuck? And so she sends the girl to the door. Why he just blatantly shoots her, I don't fucking know. This man's on a warpath. But
well, if I knew it was you, I wouldn't have sent the new girl. And I'm like, what? But what? Why?
Yeah, wouldn't you have died? I don't know. So that was funny. But he goes into the town's history. It's very much like Derry, like you said, or Jeepers Creepers, where this thing wakes up every certain amount of years and is like, fucking, I'm hungry. Let's do this. Completely different entities. One is a house that involves a family of ghosts. One is an interdimensional being. And one is just, I don't know, a creature. What the fuck is the creep? What is the creeper? He's just
just a creature.
I don't know what you are, you crazy bastard. So the house demands a sacrifice, and if it doesn't get a family, it will find one. And the last time it didn't get a family, it spread throughout the town like wildfire, killing many of the residents there. So of course the energy it's funny because like the energy Anna's feeling is not her son. But it is in the same sense, because I guess his presence was there protecting them from the Dagmars killing them, which again, another plot point I find interesting. I don't really think I need an explanation on how his spirit got there. We don't know anything about the afterworld, or if there is one, spirits can maybe able to just roam freely. Who knows? But that was kind of cool that Bobby was there essentially protecting his parents, because he died in a car crash and they're grieving parents. And I think my speculation is, maybe my theory is that Dagmar felt sympathy for Anne and Paul because, they, much like he lost his family, they lost a part of their family, because there's that scene at the end when Dagmar just crushes the ever-living fuck out of Dave's head, like, very good practical effects. And they have this moment where the Dagmar family kind of huddles up and puts their arms on one another and just stares at Anne and Paul. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And then they look away for a second, come back, and they're gone. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's when Anne goes down to the basement. Paul follows, and he's like, oh, hey, Bobby. And then the movie's over. So it's almost like they had this kind of somber moment of like, we won't hurt you. We know you've dealt with tragedy. We're going to just let you go, which I thought, again, was just so goddamn refreshing. This movie was just, oh.
The way it ended gave me the feeling of like, so are they going to live there now? Do they need to now feed them every 30 years?
I had the same feeling because Kat is now dead. Dave is now dead. So it's like, do we spare you, for what happened to your son, but now you're in charge of feeding us? I had that same kind of thought. And it's an open-ended, ambiguous ending, which can not work for me a lot of the times. But in this instance, with how they ended it, especially with the last line of dialogue being, hey, Bobby, I was like, all right, I'm okay with it ending very ambiguously. Like, what happens next? I don't know. I'm totally okay with that.
Live with these ghosts. Fuck it. They're going to leave us alone.
Yeah.
We own the restaurant now because everybody's dead and we're just going to go take it over.
We own Buffalo Bills. We own this house. We're just going to fucking take over. So, yeah, good. Absolutely good shit. I fucking love this movie. I did want to talk about, before we moved on to I guess we just talk about the ending. I wanted to talk about that seance scene because, oh my God, that shit was so good. Anne and May leave to go out grocery shopping, and Jacob's like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to have a seance, and then immediately starts lighting candles to have a seance. I'm like,
he wouldn't even have been out of the driveway when he started lighting them.
And it was so fucking good because the seance starts happening. They start doing the seance, and Jacob's reaching out to these other, to the other realm of existence. And he says this one line of dialogue I can't remember, but Paul looks at him confused and says, what did you just say? He said, oh, I'm just trying to do like an invitation to kind of welcome the ghosts. And then it just goes downhill from there with him being full on possessed, saying the most horrific shit about Harry and his horror, girlfriend. And then eventually Jacob just takes a fire poker straight to the eye of his own doing. I was like, God damn, a fire poker to the eye? All right, I'm here for that shit. Larry Fessenden is great. I love him as an actor, not so much as a director, but when Larry Fessenden pops up in movies, I'm always there for his performances. Have you ever seen him in anything else that you can remember?
So my wife was pointing out that he was just in a movie she watched. I caught bits and pieces of it called Habit. And then that was like very artsy, not my style, not her style either. But then I Sell the Dead is the other movie that I knew him from.
The Dead Don't Die?
No, it's just called I Sell the Dead.
Oh, I Sell the Dead. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, he's
these are the two things, because I'm like, we're watching the movie and I'm like, I feel like I recognize him, but like I don't at the same time. And then she brought it up later on. She's like, oh no, you know him from these. And I was like, oh no shit, yeah, we just watched those.
Yeah, he's his IMDb photo, whenever you have a second to check it out sometime today or whenever, it's such a great photo. He's very recognizable face. So I added a new little section here because this is the first time I think this year where at least in this month, where we've had a really, really good scares in this movie. And I mentioned them kind of leaning into the tropes, but goddamn, they were effective. Harry's death was wild because he gets his eyes pushed in by a ghost. Typically ghosts don't kill people in such brutal ways, but I loved, because in the beginning of the movie, you see them kind of behind things. They'll give you like a thematic kind of like when you see them, but there's not too many jump scares. There's a few, but I think they're well crafted enough that they don't come off cheap. They come off very effective to me. I don't know how you felt about any of the jump scares, but for me personally, I really enjoyed how they crafted them.
Dude, jump scares don't fucking necessarily pop out in my mind just because I'm like, so used to a jump scare that I'm like sitting here. I'm like, wait, was there jump scares? I mean, he noticed them, so there must have been.
There was a couple. There wasn't many, but mainly they were lingering in the shadows for a lot of those shots. And
the dream sequence when the dad. That part fucking freaked me out when he goes to move the wife and she's just dead corpse. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, that was good. That whole dream sequence or nightmare sequence was great. And then of course I'd like to assume by the end of the movie, Paul's a believer. He saw what happened to Jacob. He clearly, can see his son. So I'd like to think he has been swayed into believing in the otherworldly, ghostly, spooky shit.
Well, when the two women get back from town and he was like, quick help, I believe you, whatever. Like he really passively is just like, I believe you, come on, your fucking husband's possessed.
So one of the core fears of this movie to me, beyond ghosts and spooky shit, is the pain of not letting go of someone and moving on. If your past can haunt you if you let it, whether it was something that you did or something that happened to you, or it was just a loss. That's the core fear. Sometimes it's really hard to move on, and I'd like to think that by the end of this movie they were able to come to some sort of moving on state when, but we don't know, but nonetheless, some other things. I think we already touched on the 70s 80s vibes, the atmosphere there. We talked about the look of the ghost. I did enjoy the camera work. There was a lot of good stagnant, smooth shots in the beginning, and then it kind of transitioned into a much more frantic style once things kicked off. Loved the score. A lot of the effects were practical with, I'm sure, some digital alteration in some instances. We've talked about the tropes. The only really issue I had, which wasn't really an issue, they didn't really explain why they were moving or what. I guess it was because of the death of Bobby. I don't really think an explanation was needed, but I think it could have helped just to get some context for what was happening, because I didn't know where they were going, what they were doing. I thought they were just going to a vacation house or maybe to a friend's house. So I think just a quick little something in the beginning would have helped me. Is there any issues that you had with the movie overall?
Not really. The only thing...
Nice.
Not that the CGI looked bad, but I never really like seeing it in movies. So, like, the demons all being all, like, ashy and stuff, it looked cool, but at the same time, like, couldn't have done, like, makeup or something.
Well, that's why I say there's digital alteration for sure, but in a bit of trivia, it does say that the makeup that they used for the ghost took about 2 hours to apply. So there was definitely a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of practical effects, but obviously the eyes were altered digitally because they had that kind of like grayed over look. And again, they were kind of ashy and crackling. So there were effects there, but I know they had a base layer of actual practical stuff going on, which is great.
Fair enough, because the rest of the practical effects were amazing.
And since you're mentioning the practical effects, you get another fucking gunshot in this movie, which is goddamn wild, when May opens the door trying to get out of the house, just fucking blasted by this shotgun. And you see, like, it was such a good practical effect. I thought someone legit got shot. I was like, holy shit. Oh man, the last 20 minutes is just fucking bonkers. They turn it up to 11. The seance, Dave kills his wife off camera, but we see her calling, and then the fucking like town starts storming the house and running upstairs. The ghosts are like, we're protecting these people. Ain't no fucking way. And then that head crush of Dagmar, just, oh my god, it was such a good looking head crush. And I was like, yeah, that's good. I like that. So I'm really happy that a lot of the blood and guts were all done practically to my knowledge. I don't think there was any CG alteration, except there was one, I think it was with the head crush, where I did see a camera, a drip of blood go down the camera. I don't know if that was unintentional and they actually captured that for real, or if they added that, but either way, it added just a little bit extra oomph to that kill. But all in all, I think this is something that if you're a fan of spooky movies, a good ghost story that leans into some tropes, subverts other tropes, and has just a fucking dope story, this is the movie for you. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have on this one, I think. Is there anything else you wanted to hit that maybe we didn't get to before we wrap up?
I did. Going back to the possession part, I will say you were saying how well crafted it was, and I have to agree, just because the demon keeps like throwing little things, like you don't realize that he's possessed, because it's like one sentence and then he's like acting normal again, and then it's another sentence, and it was just that fucking great build up to like, oh no, he's fucking possessed.
Yeah, it was such a great seance scene. Because that's another thing they'll do in haunted house movies or movies with the supernatural. They'll do Ouija boards, but they didn't bust out a Ouija board. All they did was light.
I appreciated the basic of it. Like, no, I can just light these and we're good to go. Like, we don't need a Ouija board and dim lights. And
yeah, they did it. And that's the other thing too. The seance was in broad fucking daylight, and I was not expecting things to go haywire.
No.
Daytime is safe time.
Like, oh, by the way, this is where this movie is just going to go, huh!
Yeah, like fucking right to the gut. So, yeah, this was honestly a huge surprise for me. I anticipated I would enjoy it. I figured I'd probably give it maybe a 3.5, but I gave this movie a very high rating, and I will stand by it because especially at 84 minutes, no time wasted. In and you're out, great ending, great setup. So that is all I have. If that is all you have, we can do the wrap up here.
That is what I got.
All right. So that is We Are Still Here from 2015. Let's move on to the final cut. So we've got one tagline: this house needs a family. Trivia: during his speech about the Dagmar family, Dave notes that the home's first owner sold corpses to the university in Essex County, a reference to author H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Miskatonic University, which was located there. Numerous characters in the film are named after characters or people associated with Lucio Fulci's film The House by the Cemetery, which this film was inspired by. Paul Burris, who plays Billy D, is actually the pastor of a local church in the town where this movie was shot on location, and his daughter Zora Burris plays the ghost girl Fiona Dagmar. And then, yes, the burn makeup on the Dagmar family ghost took about 2 hours to apply and 1 hour to remove. Oh, a petty goof. I love a petty goof. A shot of the rear of the house lingers on 3 gas meters, which are there. This indicates that the housing unit is a triplex rather than a single family home and has 3 separate living entrances or living spaces. This is also evident, though less so, from the front of the house, which has 3 separate front entrances. Who fucking cares? God, I love petty goofs. Someone who has too much time on their hands. Fucking nerds.
Funny enough, though, I did, when they were doing that shot, I was like, wait, would that have matched up with the time frame? Because I had that same thought about the meters. I guess not in. I didn't have the same thought, but I was just like, wait a second, time placement, would that have made sense? And I'm like, yeah, I guess it would have. Meters have been around since the fucking 70s.
Oh, God, that's fucking hilarious. I love it. All right, so rated 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb. For the purposes of the Fear Index, that will be a 2.85 out of 5. That is a 2.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is right on par with IMDb. 95% on the Tomatoes meter, and a shockingly low 47% audience score, that's a wild skew. So, Derek, what did you give this movie?
I gave this movie 4.5.
Whoa, 4.5? That's what I gave it. Okay, so that is a Frightmare certified slap. Wow, we are on a roll with slaps this month. I cannot believe it. That gives us a Nightmare Index of 3.69, which beats out The Nesting, beats out The Haunting, and beats out Deadstream. This is now number 2 under Hausu, with a 3.69 out of 5. Holy shit, that's wildly incredible. Very happy with that. Similar movies according to IMDb. Every single fucking one of these movies is an absolute banger, and if you've never seen any of them, highly recommend. They all have 4.5 stars from me. Anything for Jackson, A Dark Song, The Black Coat's Daughter, The Innkeepers, that one has a 4, sorry, and The Devil's Candy. Those movies are so fucking good. And then similar movies according to Letterboxd, the most basic bitch answers. Insidious, The Woman in Black, The Conjuring, Insidious Chapter 2, and Hereditary. I feel like Hereditary is almost on every single similar horror movie.
And none of those movies are really all that similar when you get down to it.
No.
Totally different haunted house movies.
Yeah, Hereditary is not even a haunted house. It's just cults and ghosts and shit. So, did we have any funny reviews from Derek?
No.
That's fine.
I can't feel prepared.
I never remember to remind anybody, so I can only blame myself. Let's see here. So I've got 3.5 stars from number 1 Gizmo fan in all caps. Why don't y'all just ... leave the house! ! I mean, fair enough. I would have left a while ago. We've got 2 stars from Tasso. Ew, why did he call his wife Kiddo? That was
Wait, what? I don't fucking remember that.
It was a very, very quick moment in the movie. I love this review. I don't think I've ever seen a 1-word review. 1 star from Emily Housel. Why? Just why? All right. And last, but certainly not least, I had it here somewhere. Oh my God. Everyone was leaving very long reviews, and I don't mind leaving a long review, but I don't know. I'm just saying, it's like some movies don't need a whole bunch of paragraphs. So 4 stars from Leticia Fernandez. The best roommates ever. P.S. Larry Fessenden is a good man and did not deserve that. To the eyeball. Oh, goodness gracious. That was a good kill, though. I mean, I don't know of many fire poker deaths. I know they exist, but I like seeing a non-traditional kill with a household item. That was really awesome. So Derek, where can everybody find you on social media? Tell them.
I am on TikTok at HFK48, but I don't like the way TikTok's been working, so I am trying to push like hell my YouTube and Instagram, and I am Horror Film Kid 48 on both of those.
Yeah, I'm about done with TikTok at this point. I've tried posting my Diabolic trailer reaction 4 different times, and it just keeps saying it's under review. Okay, what's going on? I don't understand what's happened. I left this one's been there for about 2 days now, under review. Fucking what? It's a trailer reaction, man. I don't understand. So I'm going to try and repost it again, and if it does not let me post, that might be the end of TikTok for me. I don't even go on the fucking app to interact with anyone at this point anymore. I don't know. I go there to post, and that's pretty much all I do. I'll go back to videos I posted and try to like and respond. I don't know. I'm just in a weird place with TikTok. It's being very strange. And I'm also getting way more views on Instagram than I am on TikTok. My Diabolic trailer on fucking Instagram got like 1,500. And I was like, okay, well, I might just stay there. But if you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for now, Slasher, Threads, and YouTube at Frightmares Podcast. I want to get into doing YouTube more, but fucking limit is 3 minutes, and a lot of mine are like right over 3 minutes, so I'm gonna try to shorten shit down. And even on Instagram, it's like, we're not gonna recommend this video to new people because it's over 3 minutes. Fucking whatever. Email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. I believe you are. So it's funny, when I see your name, it just says DF, but I don't know what your actual like handle is.
On Letterboxd?
Yeah.
I think it's HFK48. I don't fucking know. All I see is DF on my end too. So.
I know. I was like,
because I created my Letterboxd like fucking years ago and
Okay.
recorded like one movie in it, and it was before I was doing any content creation. So I just used my name.
Yeah, and it's weird. So it's like to search for you. Oh, there we go. Horror Film Kid 48. If you tap on the little 3 bubbles in the right-hand corner, it actually brings up Horror Film Kid 48, all one word. There you go. If you'd like to expand your movie listening or movie podcast listening, there's the words I wanted to say, be sure to check out the Shameless Picture Show, the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, and 1 Week Rental as well. Next week will be a start of a new month. We're doing zombies. It's Zombruary Attack, because everything has to be a pun, because I'm a dork. Michael and I are going to be doing Dawn of the Dead from 1978 for our essential viewing. We're going to be specifically watching the Argento cut, which is a shorter cut than the theatrical one, so you will be okay to watch the regular version of this movie, but there's 3 or 4 different cuts, and both Michael and I have not seen the Argento cut. It features much more of a heavy goblin score and stuff like that. Sadly, it is not streaming anywhere. It's one of those movies that is very hard to get, even physically. So you can rent it or buy it on Amazon, or hopefully if you own it, you can check it out. But that is what we're doing next month. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited to do a whole month of zombies. So stay on the lookout for that next week. And until then, stay spooky.